Hey everyone, today I'm in Austin, Texas at the Austin Memorial Park Cemetery, and I'm going to show you a couple of big ones here. And these are ones that I've wanted to see for quite some time. I've never been here, and this has been on the list for a while. So let me show you. So we're here to visit a couple of graves that are famous Texas Rangers, but were also used to hunt down Bonnie and Clyde. We have Manny Gault right here, and then his partner and his buddy is right over here, Frank Hamer. Real close to each other. So what's interesting is what is on their memorial markers. You can see coins and different things that have been left here, and they've kind of fallen off of this. This one right here says NYPD and Manhattan. And here we have a Williams County, Texas. It almost looks like a poker coin or something. This coin right here is from Canada. So that's pretty interesting. But there's different coins here. And then of course, you have the Texas Ranger cross right here that's been fabricated. Kind of a little flower pot that's all worn out. But like I said, right near him, the next row over and up, you'll see another Texas Ranger cross right here, and then the Texas flag. And there's coins left here as well. You can see all the coins, and you see that NYPD thing here. But this is a live round that hasn't been fired from a .45 that's been left here. I was curious to know if anyone would leave any empty shells or anything like that. And I don't see any empty shells. That's the only thing that I've seen besides a bunch of coins and stuff like that. And they're just kind of all around where they've kind of blown off or they've edged, and it's actually swept off to the sides.
Francis Augustus Hamer, or Frank Hamer as he was better known, was born in Texas on March 17, 1884. He was one of 5 sons, 4 of whom became Texas Rangers. Frank began his career in law enforcement in 1905 while working on the Carr Ranch in West Texas. There he captured a horse thief. The local sheriff was so impressed that he recommended Hamer join the Texas Rangers. In 1906 he did just that and became a ranger patrolling on the Mexican border. At different times throughout his career, he bounced between being a ranger, city marshal, deputy sheriff, cattle detective, or a federal agent in Prohibition.
So Frank is buried here, and just a couple spots over is his wife right here. Now this would be his second wife, Gladys Johnson Hamer.
In 1917, Hamer married Gladys Johnson Sims, the widow of Ed Sims. She had or was divorcing Sims, but was still fighting over the 2 daughters. One day in 1916, in front of their daughters and the Scurry County Courthouse, Gladys shot and wounded Sims. Her brother then shot buckshot, which killed Sims. The charges were dropped against Gladys. After marrying Frank, the 2 stopped to get gas in Sweetwater when they encountered Gus McMeans of Odessa, who was the brother-in-law of Ed Sims. Gus was a former Texas Ranger and sheriff of Ector County. He and Hamer got into a pistol battle, and as the 2 were clinched, McMeans died of a gunshot to the heart and Hamer was wounded. As a ranger, not only did Frank protect the Mexican border, but he also led the fight against the Ku Klux Klan. Frank saved numerous African Americans from lynchings. In 1928, Hamer put a halt to the murder-for-hire ring, and his accomplishments made him nationally famous. Benjamin Manny Gault was born in Texas on June 21, 1886. He married Rebecca Johnson in 1907. Frank and Manny had been neighbors and close personal friends since the mid-1920s. According to Frank Jr., Manny was as proficient with the guitar as he was with the gun, and Hamer was a competent hill country fiddler. The two spent many a nights playing cards, dominoes, playing bluegrass music, and telling stories. Later on, while in pursuit of Bonnie and Clyde, they took their instruments with them to play. They were both very close, as were their wives. As the Great Depression grew near, and the private sector jobs started to dry up, Hamer offered Manny a position with the Texas Rangers in 1929. The two began teaming up together to fight against the Ku Klux Klan, and they worked seamlessly together. It remained that way until 1932, 1 week before Miriam "Ma" Ferguson recaptured the office as governor. Frank, Manny, and other Texas Rangers retired or resigned. Those that did not were all fired by the governor. Years later, Frank was asked why he retired, and he stated that he didn't like the idea of a woman being governor. By 1934, Bonnie and Clyde were on a crime spree that was embarrassing law enforcement everywhere. They were killing officers and unarmed citizens. The gang received more notoriety when they raided Eastham Prison, breaking out some inmates. The Texas State Department of Corrections received a lot of negative national publicity. This incident led to Frank Hamer being hired by the Texas State Prisons as special investigator who was tasked with tracking down Bonnie and Clyde. At the same time, he was commissioned as an officer in the Texas State Highway Patrol. Hamer in turn sought out his good friend and close associate Manny Gault. Together, the two examined the pattern of the Barrel Gang movements. After the Barrel Gang killed 2 Texas Highway Patrol officers on Easter Sunday in 1934, public opinion was starting to turn against the criminals. 5 days later, the gang killed a constable near Commerce, Oklahoma. They also kidnapped the police chief and drove across the border into Kansas, where they released him. At that time, Manny and Frank knew that Clyde did not intend to be taken alive. The two lived and traveled in Frank's car for more than 500 miles per day in the pursuit of the notorious killers. They did this for a total of 102 days until they finally ended the crime spree on the morning of May 23, 1934. Frank and Manny, with the help of 4 other officers, had been hiding for 2 days and 2 nights in Louisiana. They were just about to call off the ambush when they decided to give it another 30 minutes. At that time, Bonnie and Clyde came rushing down the road and into the trap that they had set. Henry Methvin was seeking to avoid the harsh sentence, so his father, Ivan, made a deal with the officers. He would help in the capture of Bonnie and Clyde so that his son could avoid the death penalty or have all charges dropped. Ivan waited on the side of the road with his truck that had a wheel off, setting a trap for Clyde. When Bonnie and Clyde slowed down to help, they were met with a barrage of bullets. This put an absolute end to Bonnie and Clyde's crime spree. When they opened the door to the car, they noticed that Bonnie had been eating a sandwich. It was discovered that Clyde had stopped and gotten food to go. If they had stayed there and eaten, the ambush may not have ever happened, as the officers were about to give up and consider the ambush a complete failure. Frank and Manny were pretty tight-lipped about the event. They gave only one interview to a trusted reporter that they knew. They declined all other interviews in papers and radio for money. Frank declined a book deal as well as a movie deal with Tom Mix. Manny served out his remaining years in the Texas Rangers as a captain. He suddenly fell ill and died in 1947. Hamer said of Manny, "He was a 23-carat fellow. He was loyal a man as there ever could be. Never a better man or truer friend than Manny Gault." Hamer enjoyed a post-Ranger career as head of a private security company. He had one more legendary lawman moment in 1948 when he investigated voter fraud by the Lyndon B. Johnson operatives. In 1953, he suffered a stroke. He managed to live for another 2 years but never regained his strength. He died in his sleep when he suffered a heart attack.
So the interesting thing about the Gaults here, there's just two, sort of. Around here are quite a bit of Pinnells. Here you can see a Reverend Pinnell that's right next to Manny Gault. I'm not for sure if these two people really kind of knew each other. I'm gonna kind of sort of guess they might have at some point. And the reason why I say that is right here we have William Howard Pinnell and Leona Gault, 1908 to 1992. So I'm guessing that this would have been their daughter that is here, and she married into the Pinnell family. And then all these Pinnells are just right in here. Thought we'd leave a couple pennies here for him. They kind of slide right off of this, really. I see on this one where it's a little more difficult. Manny's is sort of a slant one.
This is the grave of Billy Beckham Hamer. And as you can see here, he was a private in the 9th Marines, 3rd Marine Division in World War II. And he was born on December 3rd, 1921, and died March 7th, 1945. And like I said, he was a veteran in World War II, and he died in the Battle of Iwo Jima. And he is located here between Frank and Rebecca. And this little bottle right here, I believe, is possibly some soil from Iwo Jima. It's got some really dark gravel in it.
So we'll leave a penny here to show our appreciation for his service and also show that we visited. The only thing left that I have here in my pocket now is a quarter, so we'll place this here next to the 45 shell casing there. Pretty interesting and neat to see their graves. They're a couple of big guys that I've wanted to see for a long time, and they're a part of the story of Bonnie and Clyde. But if you would like to pay a visit to these two Texas Rangers and pay your respect, the entrance into the cemetery is right there. And this is at the corner of Bull Creek and Hancock. And then you come in and they're immediately to your left. You'll also see this Church of Scientology directly across the street from where their graves are, right here. That's Frank Hamer. And then you have Manny Gault right there. So right at the entrance of this cemetery, very easy to find, across from the Church of Scientology. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
If you enjoy these types of videos, please check out a few of the others that I've done.